Most people think small 4x4s are just cheap off-road toys, but history proves the opposite. Some of the smallest machines were actually the most overbuilt. From military legends to forgotten engineering experiments, these vehicles were built to survive conditions where bigger SUVs fail. If you think size equals strength, this list is going to change your mindset fast. Like, share, and subscribe for more insane machine breakdowns. Number 10. Subaru Brat. Introduced in 1978, this vehicle didn't fit neatly into any category at the time. It mixed the idea of a small pickup with the driving behavior of a passenger car. Instead of a traditional truck chassis, it used a compact car platform enhanced with AWD. That made it lighter and more road-friendly than most utility vehicles of its era. The design choice created a strange but practical hybrid concept. One of its most unusual features was the rear-facing jump seats in the cargo bed. Those seats were added specifically to dodge a 25% import tariff on trucks by having seats. It classified as a passenger car and paid only 2.5% instead. Visually, it looked more like a sporty coupe than a work truck, but underneath that styling, it still delivered genuine traction on rough surfaces. Its low weight helped it handle dirt roads and loose terrain with ease. The AWD system improved grip in snow and wet conditions. It wasn't built for heavy hauling, but for flexible, everyday use. That balance made it stand out in a segment dominated by heavier pickups. And that uniqueness is what gave it lasting attention. Mechanically, it reflected Subaru's early commitment to compact all-wheel drive engineering. The Boxer engine layout helped keep weight low and stability high. That improved handling, especially on uneven or slippery surfaces. Four-wheel drive could be engaged when extra traction was needed. Its suspension was tuned more for comfort than extreme off-road punishment. Still, it managed gravel roads and light trails without difficulty. Engine output was modest, but matched to its lightweight body. That kept fuel consumption lower than many competing trucks. Steering felt more like a car, making it easier to control in daily driving. However, it lacked the strength needed for serious towing or heavy loads. The bed size limited its real-world utility in commercial use. But for light work and mixed driving conditions, it performed reliably. Its simplicity also helped keep maintenance relatively manageable. It didn't try to dominate any one area, it balanced multiple roles. That compromise is exactly what defined its engineering identity. There are clear limitations that prevent it from being a true heavy-duty machine. Payload capacity is low compared to traditional pickups. High-speed stability can feel average when fully loaded. Interior design is basic, with minimal focus on modern comfort. The rear jump seats, while iconic, were not practical or safe by today's standards. It also lacks advanced safety systems found in modern vehicles. But judging it as a conventional truck misses its actual purpose. It was designed for users who needed a light utility with car-like drivability. In that role, it offered something very different at the time. It developed a cult following because of its unusual concept. Collectors value it now for its originality and engineering creativity. It influenced later compact utility and crossover thinking indirectly. Modern vehicles in this space borrow more ideas from it than expected. It proved that blending categories can still produce something useful. And that makes it a fitting final entry in this lineup. Number 9. Steyr-Puch Haflinger. Designed in 1959 for harsh alpine terrain, this tiny 4x4 was built around one extreme idea: remove every unnecessary kilogram. Instead of scaling up power, engineers focused on making the chassis as light and usable as possible in steep mountain regions. That decision allowed it to perform in areas where heavier vehicles would simply slide or sink. Its compact footprint meant it could move through narrow trails carved into cliffs and forests. Portal axles were a key feature, boosting ground clearance without increasing overall size. This gave it an advantage over many much larger off-road machines of its time. The engine was placed at the rear, improving traction when climbing sharp inclines. That layout also helped distribute weight more effectively on uneven terrain. Everything was engineered for stability in unpredictable mountain conditions. It was never meant to compete in speed or comfort, only in reach and control. Even basic field repairs were considered during its design phase. That made it valuable in remote operations where support was limited. Despite its size, it could handle tasks that seemed far beyond its category, and that's where its reputation as an overbuilt, lightweight machine comes from. The mechanical layout is where its intelligence really shows. An air-cooled flat engine reduces complexity and removes dependence on liquid cooling systems. That makes it far more reliable in freezing or high-altitude environments. A permanent four-wheel drive setup ensures constant traction on unstable surfaces. There's no delay or switching needed when the terrain suddenly changes. Portal axle construction increases clearance while reducing stress on drivetrain components. Short wheelbase allows it to turn sharply in extremely tight spaces. Low mass helps it avoid getting stuck in snow, mud, or soft ground. However, it is completely unsuitable for high-speed travel or long road use. Steering and stability feel basic compared to modern vehicles. Noise and vibration are constant, especially under load. But off-road, those drawbacks become irrelevant. It maintains grip and movement in conditions that stop larger vehicles. Its simplicity also reduces mechanical failure risks significantly. That combination is what makes it surprisingly capable in extreme environments. There's no pretending it matches modern expectations in comfort or safety. The cabin is extremely compact, with minimal space for passengers or gear. Long-distance travel is uncomfortable and physically tiring. Safety systems are virtually non-existent by today's standards. It was never intended for urban or highway use. Instead, it was designed for military, rescue, and alpine utility roles. That focus explains why it was trusted in extremely difficult terrain. Even decades later, it remains respected for its engineering discipline. Collectors value it because it represents pure function over form. Its design philosophy influenced later lightweight off-road concepts. It shows how extreme weight reduction can improve real capability. Few vehicles demonstrate this balance so clearly in practice. It doesn't rely on power or size to succeed. Instead, it survives through simplicity and precision engineering, and that's exactly why it still stands out today. Number 8. Lada Niva. Built in 1977, this compact 4x4 came out of a very different engineering mindset compared to Western SUVs. The goal wasn't luxury or speed, but creating something simple, affordable, and capable enough to survive brutal terrain. Instead of separating comfort from capability, engineers pushed both into a very minimal package. It used a unibody structure, but reinforced it in a way that still survives harsh punishment. That approach was unusual at the time, especially for an off-road focused vehicle. Permanent four-wheel drive gave it constant readiness without needing driver input. Its small footprint allowed it to move through narrow village roads and dense forest paths. At the same time, it didn't feel completely fragile when conditions got rough. Early models were extremely basic, with almost no electronic systems involved. Everything was designed around field repair and mechanical simplicity. That made it highly practical in remote regions with limited resources. It wasn't competing with premium SUVs, it was solving real-world mobility problems. And that clear purpose is why it became widely used across difficult environments. Even today, its core design hasn't changed dramatically because it already worked. It proved that simplicity can still produce serious capability. The mechanical setup is where its durability really becomes visible. A full-time 4x4 system ensures traction is always available when surfaces change suddenly. That makes it useful in snow, mud, and uneven rural terrain. Engine options are simple and easy to maintain without specialized tools. The lack of complex electronics improves reliability in isolated areas. Ground clearance is high enough to handle rocks and broken roads with ease. Short overhangs help it approach steep angles without scraping. Suspension is basic but strong enough to handle repeated abuse. However, highway driving quickly exposes its limitations in comfort and stability. Steering feels slow and less precise at higher speeds. Noise and vibration increase noticeably as speed builds up. But off-road, those weaknesses become less relevant. Its lightweight structure helps it avoid sinking in soft ground. That balance of simplicity and traction keeps it dependable in tough conditions. It doesn't rely on complexity, it relies on a function that keeps working. There are clear compromises, and they show immediately in everyday driving. Interior comfort is minimal, with a very basic and utilitarian layout. Long journeys can feel tiring due to noise and limited refinement. Safety equipment in older versions is far behind modern expectations. It was never designed for highway comfort or modern urban use. But that criticism doesn't match its actual purpose. This vehicle was built for environments where reliability matters more than comfort. It became widely used in rural regions, forests, and snowy landscapes. Its low cost made capable 4x4 access possible for more people. That affordability helped it spread far beyond its original market. Even after decades, updated versions continue to follow the same formula. The design hasn't needed major changes because the core idea still works. Few vehicles maintain this level of identity across such a long time. It stands as proof that practical engineering can outlast trends, and that's why it remains relevant in real off-road use today. Number 7. Suzuki Jimny. Born in 1970, this small 4x4 was engineered with a very clear purpose: extreme usability in tight, rough environments. Instead of chasing size or comfort, Suzuki focused on lightweight, simplicity, and mechanical strength. That combination gave it access to places where bigger SUVs physically struggle to fit. Its compact proportions make trail navigation easier, especially in narrow mountain paths. The boxy design isn't cosmetic, it improves visibility and off-road angles. Early models were stripped down, prioritizing function over refinement. Even as generations evolved, the core structure stayed consistent. The Lada frame chassis remained a defining feature across its lifespan. That decision alone separates it from most modern soft-roaders. It's still built like a proper off-road tool, not a city crossover. And that's why it has credibility where it actually matters. It doesn't rely on image, it relies on performance. In real terrain, it often outperforms vehicles far larger than itself. That reputation didn't come from marketing, it came from use in the field. It's small, but it's built with intent. The mechanical setup is simple, but extremely effective under stress. A body-on-frame layout gives it structural durability on rough surfaces. Solid axle configuration helps maintain consistent traction on uneven ground. Low vehicle weight reduces the chance of sinking in mud or sand. A proper low-range four-wheel drive system allows controlled crawling over obstacles. That makes steep climbs and rocky paths manageable rather than risky. Short wheelbase improves maneuverability in tight technical sections. However, that same design can feel unstable at higher road speeds. Engine outputs are modest, focused more on torque than acceleration. Suspension travel is tuned for off-road articulation instead of comfort. It isn't designed for highway performance or long-distance cruising, but in off-road scenarios, it remains predictable and capable. Maintenance is relatively simple due to its mechanical design. That simplicity increases reliability in remote environments. It's a system built to survive abuse, not impress on paper. There are obvious limitations, and they show quickly outside its niche. Cabin space is tight, especially for passengers on longer trips. Road noise and wind intrusion are noticeable at higher speeds. Older generations lack modern safety systems and driver assistance features. Comfort was never part of the original engineering goal, but those weaknesses disappear when it's used in its intended environment. This vehicle thrives in forests, mountains, and rural terrain. It has become a trusted tool for farmers, explorers, and off-road enthusiasts. Even rescue and utility services in some regions still rely on it. That kind of long-term relevance is rare in the automotive world. It has stayed in production because the concept still works. Modern versions refine the formula without changing its core identity. Few compact 4x4s maintain this level of real-world respect. It proves that smart design can outperform raw size, and that's exactly why it belongs in this lineup. Number 6. Fiat Panda 4x4. This thing looks basic, almost too basic to take seriously. Launched in 1983, it started as a small city car with a focus on simplicity and low cost. Then someone had the idea to give it proper four-wheel drive capability. That decision turned a regular hatchback into something unexpectedly capable. Its boxy shape wasn't about style, it was about maximizing interior space and practicality. Lightweight construction made it easy to handle and efficient to run. At first glance, nothing about it suggests off-road ability, but once it leaves paved roads, that perception changes quickly. It can climb hills, handle snow, and move through rough terrain better than many larger vehicles. This wasn't built to compete with heavy-duty trucks. It was designed to solve real problems in rural and mountainous areas. In tight villages and narrow roads, size becomes an advantage. That's where it starts to outperform bigger machines. It doesn't try to look tough, it just works. And that honesty is part of its appeal. Function comes before everything else. The real strength of this vehicle comes from smart engineering choices. Its 4x4 system, developed with Steyr-Puch, adds genuine off-road capability. Low weight improves traction by reducing the chances of sinking into soft ground. Short wheelbase allows it to navigate tight paths with ease. Ground clearance is higher than a normal city car, giving it extra flexibility. Engines are small, usually under 1 liter in early versions, focusing on efficiency. Power isn't impressive, but it's enough for its intended purpose. Later models improved performance while keeping the same core philosophy. Suspension is simple but effective for uneven terrain. However, pushing it too hard reveals its limitations quickly. It's not built for extreme off-roading or heavy loads. Use it within its design limits, and it performs reliably. Maintenance is straightforward, which helps keep ownership costs low. That simplicity is a major reason for its long lifespan. It proves that capability doesn't always require complexity. Sometimes less is actually more. There are clear compromises, and they're impossible to ignore. Interior quality is basic, with minimal focus on comfort or luxury. Long trips can feel tiring due to limited space and noise. Safety features are far behind modern standards in older models. High-speed stability isn't its strength either. But none of that matters in the environments it was built for. This vehicle became popular in mountainous regions and rural communities. Farmers, outdoor workers, and small business owners rely on it daily. It earned a reputation for being dependable in tough conditions. Even decades later, it continues to be produced in updated forms. That kind of longevity isn't common in this segment. It exists because the concept still works. Modern versions add improvements without losing the original purpose. It may not impress on paper, but in real use, it delivers. That's what makes it stand out, and that's why it deserves its place here. Number 5. AMC Eagle SX4. This one didn't follow the rules, it ignored them completely. Back in 1980, most manufacturers kept off-road capability limited to trucks and bulky SUVs. AMC went the opposite direction and put a full-time 4x4 system into a compact hatchback. The result looked like a lifted coupe, which confused people at the time. But underneath that unusual design was something genuinely ahead of its era. It combined passenger car comfort with all-weather traction. That idea is normal today. Back then, it was almost unheard of. The SX4 variant added a sportier shape, making it stand out even more. Raised suspension gave it extra clearance compared to regular cars. This wasn't built for hardcore off-roading, but it handled rough conditions better than expected. Snow, gravel, and wet roads became far less of a problem. It wasn't trying to compete with trucks, it was creating a new category. And honestly, most people didn't understand it at first. But looking back now, it was clearly ahead of its time. It predicted the crossover trend decades early. That alone makes it worth paying attention to. Mechanically, it focused on balance, rather than extremes. The full-time all-wheel drive system provided constant traction without driver input. That made it easier to control in changing conditions. Engine options included inline-4 and inline-6 units, offering decent performance for its size. Nothing extreme, but enough to keep it practical for daily use. The suspension was tuned for a mix of comfort and durability. It could handle uneven surfaces without feeling too harsh. However, it wasn't designed for heavy-duty abuse, like true off-road vehicles. Push it into extreme terrain, and its limits become obvious. Still, for everyday driving with added capability, it delivered something unique. Fuel economy was reasonable compared to larger 4x4 options. That made it more accessible to regular drivers. It proved that you don't need a massive truck to get all-weather performance. That idea is now standard across the industry. Back then, it was a bold experiment, and surprisingly, it worked. Of course, it wasn't perfect, far from it. Build quality issues affected reliability over time. AMC as a company struggled financially, which didn't help long-term support. The design confused buyers who didn't know what category it belonged to. Was it a car, or was it an off-roader? That lack of a clear identity hurt its sales, but judging it by popularity misses the bigger picture. This vehicle introduced ideas that later became industry standards. Today's crossovers follow a similar formula, just more refined. The SX4 walked so modern, AWD cars could run. Even with its flaws, it showed real innovation. And innovation usually comes with risks. It may not have dominated the market, but it changed direction. That's a different kind of success. And that's exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. Number 4. UAZ 469. Built during the Soviet era, this machine wasn't designed for comfort. It was built for survival. Introduced in 1971, it replaced older military vehicles with something far more capable in harsh terrain. The focus was simple: create a vehicle that works in mud, snow, deserts, and freezing temperatures without failing. There was no interest in luxury features or a smooth driving experience. Everything about it reflects a utilitarian mindset. Its boxy shape isn't about looks, it's about practicality and ease of repair. The body sits on a tough ladder frame, giving it serious structural strength. Solid axles and leaf springs allow it to handle rough ground without falling apart. At first glance, it looks basic, but that simplicity is exactly why it lasts. No unnecessary complexity means fewer things to break, and when something does fail, it's usually fixable without specialized tools. That kind of design thinking is rare today. It was created to operate in places where modern vehicles wouldn't even start, and in those conditions, it still performs. Its design also allows quick field repairs without advanced equipment. Mechanics can access most components without disassembling half the vehicle. That practicality saves time in critical situations. Under the hood, power wasn't the priority, reliability was. It came with a simple gasoline engine that could run on low-quality fuel. That's critical in remote regions where high-grade fuel isn't always available. The four-wheel drive system provides constant traction in difficult environments. A 2-speed transfer case allows better control during slow, technical driving. Ground clearance is high, helping it move over rocks and deep ruts. Its suspension setup is basic but extremely durable under stress. Water crossings, muddy tracks, and uneven terrain don't stop it easily. However, don't expect refinement. The ride quality is rough, steering feels heavy, and handling isn't precise at all. At higher speeds, it becomes unstable and uncomfortable. But again, speed was never part of its purpose. It's built to keep moving where others get stuck. That's the only metric it cares about, and in that role, it delivers consistently. It sacrifices comfort to guarantee function. Even extreme weather conditions don't easily shut it down. Cold starts in freezing climates are part of its design capability. That level of resilience is difficult to match. There's no point pretending this fits modern expectations. Interior quality is minimal, with almost no attention to comfort. Noise, vibration, and harshness are all part of the experience. Safety features are nearly non-existent by today's standards. Driving it daily in a city would feel exhausting, but that's not where it belongs. This vehicle was made for military use, rural transport, and extreme conditions. It earned a reputation for being nearly indestructible. Even decades later, many units are still in service around the world. That kind of longevity doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of over-engineering focused on durability. Modern SUVs may look more advanced, but they aren't built for this level of abuse. The UAZ 469 doesn't try to be refined. It exists to endure. And that's exactly why it stands out. Collectors and off-road enthusiasts still value it for its toughness. Its legacy continues in updated versions and derivatives. Few vehicles maintain relevance across so many decades. Number 3. Honda Acty 4x4. Small doesn't automatically mean weak, and this truck proves that immediately. Introduced in 1977, it was built under Japan's K vehicle rules, which strictly limit size and engine capacity. That forced engineers to think differently, focusing on efficiency and smart packaging instead of brute force. The cab-over layout pushed the driver forward, freeing up maximum space for cargo. From the outside, it looks almost like a toy, but that assumption falls apart quickly. Its compact footprint allows it to access narrow roads, tight farms, and crowded job sites with ease. Early versions came with tiny engines, often around 545 cubic centimeters, later growing to 660 cubic centimeters. Numbers like that sound weak, but the lightweight body makes them usable. And when paired with a 4x4 system, it becomes far more capable than expected. This wasn't designed for speed or status, it was built to work efficiently in limited space. In dense environments, that advantage becomes impossible to ignore. It can go where full-size trucks simply don't fit. That alone gives it a completely different kind of usefulness. Its turning radius is extremely tight, making quick maneuvers effortless. Urban delivery work becomes easier because of its compact design. Even parking in crowded areas isn't a challenge. The real strength of this machine shows up when conditions get difficult. Selectable four-wheel drive gives it traction on mud, snow, and uneven ground. Its lightweight actually becomes an advantage, reducing the chances of getting stuck. Ground clearance isn't massive, but clever design helps it avoid major obstacles. Many versions include low-range gearing, allowing better control during slow movement. That's critical when climbing slopes or carrying loads on rough terrain. Despite its size, the chassis is surprisingly durable for long-term use. Maintenance is simple, and parts are relatively easy to replace. Fuel efficiency is another strong point. It consumes far less than larger trucks. However, don't expect power-heavy loads will slow it down quickly. It performs best when used within its limits, not beyond them. Push it too far, and the lack of horsepower becomes obvious. But used correctly, it handles tasks reliably for years. Its engine placement also helps maintain balance during movement. Drivers get predictable handling in low-speed conditions. That consistency builds trust over time. There are obvious compromises, and pretending otherwise makes no sense. Cab space is tight, especially for taller drivers. Long-distance driving isn't comfortable, and noise levels can get annoying. Safety features are minimal compared to modern vehicles. At higher speeds, stability isn't its strong point, but none of that was the main goal in the first place. This vehicle was built for short trips, light hauling, and practical daily work. Farmers, small business owners, and utility workers rely on it for exactly those reasons. Its affordability makes it accessible to people who don't need a full-size truck. Over time, it earned a reputation for reliability rather than performance. Even today, newer versions continue to follow the same philosophy. It hasn't changed much because the original concept already worked, and that's why it remains one of the most overbuilt mini work trucks ever made. Its long production run proves consistent demand over decades. Few vehicles in this class maintain relevance for so long. That kind of longevity doesn't happen without solid engineering. Number 2. Willys Jeep FC150. At first glance, the design feels off, almost like the front half is missing. That's because the driver sits directly above the front wheels, a layout rarely seen even today. Back in the late 1950s, this wasn't done for style, it was done to squeeze more utility into a smaller footprint. By shifting the cab forward, engineers created a longer cargo area, without increasing total length. That made it ideal for tight work zones where space was limited. It shared its mechanical roots with the CJ5, meaning it carried proper off-road credibility from day one. The short wheelbase gave it sharp maneuverability, especially in rough environments. Despite its compact appearance, it could handle serious hauling tasks. This wasn't built to impress. Visually, it was designed to be useful in ways most trucks weren't, and that unusual layout is exactly what made it stand out. It also allowed better visibility of obstacles directly in front during slow work. Workers could position the truck more precisely in narrow spaces. That kind of control mattered more than looks or comfort. Underneath, everything about it was built for punishment. A strong ladder frame formed the backbone, paired with solid axles front and rear. The 2.2-liter Hurricane engine wasn't exciting, but it kept going under stress. Instead of chasing speed, it focused on delivering consistent pulling force. A dual-range transfer case allowed it to crawl through difficult terrain with control. Ground clearance and minimal overhangs meant obstacles weren't a major concern. It could navigate uneven surfaces without scraping or getting stuck easily. However, placing the weight so far forward came with trade-offs. Handling at higher speeds felt unstable, especially on uneven roads. So while it excelled off-road, it demanded caution on regular streets. Everything about it prioritized function over comfort. Maintenance was straightforward, which made it easier to keep running long-term. Fewer complex parts meant fewer chances of unexpected failures. That simplicity is a big reason many units survived for decades. This machine had clear downsides, and ignoring them would be dishonest. The seating position felt unnatural, almost like you're leading the vehicle instead of driving it. Safety was practically non-existent by modern standards. In case of impact, there's barely anything between you and whatever you hit. That alone made it a tough sell for everyday use. But for specific jobs, it delivered exactly what was needed. It found its place with farmers, service crews, and utility work. Over time, it built a reputation not for comfort, but for reliability. Even decades later, surviving examples still prove how durable it was. It may not fit modern expectations, but it handled its purpose without compromise. Collectors today appreciate it for its unusual engineering approach. Its rarity has increased interest among classic truck enthusiasts. And despite its flaws, it still represents a bold attempt at practical innovation. Number 1. Unimog 411. This thing wasn't built like a small 4. By 4, it was engineered like farm machinery that accidentally became road legal. Introduced in 1956 by Mercedes-Benz, the Unimog 411 carried forward a brutally simple idea: one machine that could do everything. Mercedes-Benz didn't design it for comfort or speed, they designed it to survive abuse. With nearly 40,000 units produced over almost 2 decades, it proved that people actually needed something this tough. At first glance, it looks compact, almost harmless, but that's misleading. Underneath, it sits on a ladder frame chassis, the same philosophy used in heavy trucks. This wasn't built for highways, it was built for farms, forests, and places where normal vehicles fail instantly. It could climb steep terrain, crawl through mud, and still carry tools like a working tractor. That's why calling it mini is almost a joke. It's only small in size, not capability. Even early versions had around 30 horsepower, which sounds weak until you realize it was tuned for torque, not speed. And torque is what actually matters when you're dragging equipment through rough ground. This wasn't a vehicle trying to impress, it was a machine trying to outlast everything around it. And in most cases, it did exactly that. Now here's where it becomes clear why this thing is overbuilt. The Unimog 411 wasn't just a truck, it was an implement carrier. That means it could run tools from multiple sides using power takeoffs and hydraulic systems. You could attach plows, mowers, winches, even agricultural equipment, and it would handle it without complaining. That level of versatility is something most modern SUVs can't even dream of. It also had massive ground clearance, around 380 millimeters, which allowed it to pass over obstacles that would destroy normal vehicles. Add to that equal-sized wheels, which improve stability and traction in extreme terrain. And unlike modern vehicles filled with electronics, this thing was purely mechanical. That's important because when something breaks in the middle of nowhere, simple machines survive. It could be repaired in remote areas with basic tools, which is exactly why it lasted decades in real-world use. Even the gearbox evolved into a synchronized system, making it more usable without sacrificing durability. This wasn't innovation for luxury, it was improvement for reliability. Every upgrade had one goal: to make it harder to kill. But let's be real, this thing is slow. Painfully slow. Top speed barely touched around 50 to 55 kilometers per hour, which makes it useless on modern highways. And that's exactly why most people today would never daily drive it. But judging it by speed completely misses the point. The Unimog 411 wasn't built to win races. It was built to go where nothing else could. It could transition from road to mud to field, without needing modifications. That kind of adaptability is what made it legendary in agriculture, military, and industrial work. Even today, many of these machines are still running after decades of abuse. That's not normal, that's over-engineering taken seriously. Modern vehicles are designed with planned lifespans. This thing was designed as if it might be used forever. And honestly, compared to most off-road vehicles today, this isn't just tough, it makes them look soft. From the Unimog to the Brat, every machine on this list proves one thing. Engineering beats size every time. Some were built for war, some for farms, and some just to survive places no normal vehicle could handle. But all of them share the same DNA: overbuilt, over-engineered, and almost impossible to kill. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, share, and subscribe for more heavy machine stories like this.